So as I told you, I am going to handle advanced programming practice. So this particular class we would be dealing much more about why we use Django, especially in the Python environment, and the summary of the Django app. What are the command lines that we should be including? How we install Python 3 on Mac OS X, how we install Python 3 on Windows platform, how we install Python 3 on the Linux platform. Then we would be discussing more about the virtual environments, how to install Django in particular in summarizing, and then how you install Git, okay, Git, and then what are the text editors that are available, and then we would be concluding it with a summary. Okay, so this is especially for the young students and young researchers of this university. I'm Dr. Christo Ananth for you, and you can reach me at dr.christoananth @ gmail.com. So before beginning any session, okay, like remember this thing, before beginning any session, first of all we should thank God for giving me this golden opportunity to deliver this session, to share my knowledge among my fellow national and international participants. So straight away we are going at a glance. We would be discussing about why we use the Django app, and then we would be concluding it with a summary. Initial setup we would be discussing with the case of command line, how we install Python 3 on Mac OS X, install Python 3 on Windows platform and in the Linux platform. We would be discussing more about the virtual environments, how we install Django, how we install Git, and then we would be discussing about the various text editors, and then we would be summarizing it. Okay. The interesting part of today's session is that, like when I am trying to explain it, every now and then I'll be explaining with a video, so that you try to understand, you try to grab more interest about how you install Python 3 in the Windows or maybe Linux or maybe the Mac OS platform. So first of all, why we go for the Django app? Okay. So actually, before going to the Django app, we should first of all understand that it is actually a web framework. Okay. So you have like different tools which are going to make much away from the difficulty, or maybe the repetition part, or maybe which is inherent in the web development. That's the reason we go with the Django app. So with the case of several websites that needs more basic functionality, normally if you go to any website, uh, generally it has to connect it to a particular storage media or maybe a database, and you have to have a URL, okay, and it should have a home page, and like what are the tabs that are available. Also the particular page that you are visiting should be able to handle security or maybe authentication features. Okay, like there might be several types of attacks that should be taking place. For example, denial service of attack, dynamic service attacks, high Byzantine attacks. So there will be like several attacks. It should be able to securely display the image out of all the attackers that are available. And then for the basic criteria is that you need not have to recreate from the scratch. Okay, right? So you make some modifications in the web frameworks, and then you build in with a particular platform that is easy to understandable, and also it is a high level language. Okay, so for this reason, for the Python platform you use Django and then Flask even. With the case of Ruby you use Rails, and then for the JavaScript you use Express platform. Okay, so there are several much more platforms that are available with Django as well. So you can summarize this Django as a batteries included approach, because you tend to have more authentication feature or maybe privacy feature associated with it. You will have like several routes, several views, several templates, several procedures, several algorithms that are associated with this batteries included approach. Okay, so batteries included means like you have a backup of information that are available with Django. Also, there is an admin interface where you have a central management that coordinates and maintains all activities, and there is robust security. So you have like authentication features as well, and you have support for multiple database backends even. For example, if you tend to lose any information, then you will have a database backend where you can get access to all of the features. So it's much easier now, making the web application very easier than reinventing the wheel when it comes to standard web application functionality. So you can picturize this Django as a micro framework approach. Like notably, like for example, in the Python platform, if you use Flask or maybe Express in JavaScript, it is a micro framework. So it's maybe a large space where you get focus to the minute features. Okay, so they provide barely a minimum that is required for a simple web page, and then leave it up to the developer to install and configure the third-party packages. So you get access to several libraries to replicate the basic website functionality. Okay, so you can say that it's more a flexible microframe approach to the developer, but there might be possibilities that young researchers, young developers, or maybe young programmers can commit any mistake out of it. So it's you should handle it very carefully when you are dealing with the micro framework approach of this Django. So you can summarize the Django as a modern, robust web application with minimal amount of code. There might be possibility that you can commit mistakes, but it is okay that you can make mistakes at the beginning so that you try to correct it at the end. So it's a very popular, very active development and thoroughly battle tested by the large websites in the world. So like in competition to several websites that are available, this Django is easily available, very flexible, and easy to maintain with coordinated interface. So we are going to go with the initial setup. We are going to include like several command lines. Command lines are nothing but commands, which are nothing but powerful text-only view of your computer. So normally in the Django project, we will be including this command lines. We can include this maybe the command lines or maybe a Mac platform or maybe the Windows platform, where you can include a terminal, which is actually located in the application part in the utilities section of the applications. Actually, what you have to do is you have to open a new Finder window and then open the applications folder, and then the application you go for the utilities, and then you have to double click on the terminal. Okay, so I'll be showing you how to install the particular platform. Okay, so in the new Finder window, what you have to do is you have to open the applications folder, then you have to click and select on the utilities folder, and then double click on the terminal folder where you can get access to the terminal that is located here. Okay, for example, if you are using on the Windows, then you can go for the partial application, so where you can find the command line dedicated shell as well. So these are the 6 frequent commands that you use in the Django development. For example, if it is a directory, then you should include a cd command. For example, if you have to change up a directory, then cd dot dot. Okay, or maybe if you can use ls, then it is nothing but the list files in your current directory. So just like your DOS command, you can use it the Django. Okay, for the print working directory, you go for pwd, and then make a directory, you go for mkdir, or maybe create a new file, you go for a touch command. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to open a command line and then type the particular commands followed with a $sign. Okay, so $sign in the command line prompt, it is nothing but the all commands which follow after the $sign. So you type in the $sign and then you include the command like cd or maybe cd dot dot ls pwd mkdir or maybe touch. So these are something similar to your DOS commands that you use it in the Django. So with the case of command lines, suppose if you have to change into the desktop directory, you should include a $sign followed with command. So command is cd and then followed with uh, a special character followed with slash and then desktop. Okay, so this is actually changing it to a desktop directory. Okay, so actually when you include this particular command, then it changes automatically to the desktop directory. And then in order to confirm whether we are in the particular proper location, then you can use pwd command. So if you use pwd command, then it will actually print the path of our current directory. So first you should include the desktop directory, then desktop gets added, and after that we have to print in the path of our current directory. Okay, so you can include the command line with a special character slash desktop. Okay, then $symbol pwd, and then the next line you go for users, and then users you get access to WSP, and then you go for the desktop. Okay, so you are going to get the path of our current directory. So with the case of command lines on the Mac computer, suppose if you are using Mac computer, then you can use this WSV command on the desktop. Actually, you can, what you have to do is you have to make a directory. Okay, you can make a directory with the mkdir command, and then you should build a current directory, get access to the current directory, which is cd, and after that you should include a new text file, okay, which is index.html. Okay, so here what you have to do is you have to include this command line special character followed with slash desktop $sign. What you have to do is mkdir. You are going to make the directory mkdir new folder. Okay, so in this new folder you are going to get access to the current directory. Okay, so special character followed with slash desktop $sign cd new folder. So you are going to get access to the current directory. So in that you are going to create a new text file which is touch index.html. Okay, so in this index.html you are going to use the list function. So you are going to use ls function to list all the current files in our directory. Okay, so what you can see is in this index.html you are going to list all the current files. Okay, so what you are going to do is the same way, special character followed with slash desktop slash new folder $sign ls. You are going to list the index.html. Okay, so this is how you are going to index. I mean, they list all the current files in the index.html out of the current directory after creating the new directory. Okay, so this is the command line section. And finally, after doing all these, you are going to return to the desktop directory with cd dot dot, and you are going to use the the present directory to confirm the location. So what you are going to do, you are going to include the command line special character slash desktop slash new folder $sign cd, the current directory. In the current directory you are going to go for pwd. Okay, so the second link is pwd, and you are going to access with the users WSV and then desktop. Okay, so this is what you use in the Mac platform, similar to your Windows platform. Okay, so the advanced developers, what they do is they can use the keywords, keyboard as well, and the command line to navigate through their computer. So it's much more faster than using a mouse. So with a keyboard, you can actually switch over between the Mac platform with the case of command line and the keyboard. Okay, so rather than using mouse, you can use keyboard as an effective means to switch between the keyboard and the command line. So next we are going to go with the installation of Python 3 on the Mac OS X. So normally, like we would go for Python 2 or maybe Python 3, but the latest version you should update is 3.9.7. So with the case of Python 2 in the Mac computers, although maybe Python 2 is installed by default, but still Python 3 is not being installed. So actually you can confirm this Python version, the command line prompt at the start of it. In the command line you can see the version of it by clicking on the or maybe entering the command line. $Python version. Okay, so you will be getting the version Python 2.7.15. Okay, so if you can check if maybe Python 3 is already maybe installed, then you can type the same command using this Python 3 instead of Python. Okay, so you can type the command line $Python 3 version. So you can get the Python 3 version like 3.7 point so on 3.7.x or maybe 3.7 or maybe higher version. You can get into maybe what are the versions that are available. So probably like you'll see an error message because what you have to do is you have to install this Python 3 version directly. If you are installing this Python 3 version directly, then you will not be getting any error message out of it. So with the case of installation of Apple's Xcode package, what you have to do is you have to include this command line like Xcode select install. So if you are going for select install, definitely in your Apple Xcode package, you would be running this confirmation commands. Actually, like Xcode is actually it's a large program, so it might take some time for installation because only if you have a good internet connection, then Xcode package gets installed very faster. And in that, you have to install the package manager. So you have the package manager called homebrew via the a very long command. For example, if you have to access USR, dollar symbol followed with USR, and then you go for bin, and then you go for Ruby, and then slash E, and then followed with double quote $, and then curl, you have hyphen, and then FSSL HTTPS. You are going to get access to a website. You have like a GitHub usercontent.com where you get access to the homebrew, and then you go for install master version, and then you go for the install version. So in the Apple Xcode's packet, what you are going to do is you are going to go for installation of Xcode, and then you are going to go for installation of the package manager homebrew via a very long command. So in order to confirm whether you have installed the homebrew correctly installed or not, so you are going to go for a command like $brewdoctor. Okay, so if you are going to include this particular command, then you can confirm that the homebrew command is being correctly installed or not. So in order to include the latest version of Python in the Mac OS X, what you are going to do is $brew install Python 3. You are not going to install Python alone, but you are going to go for install Python 3. So brew install Python 3, and if you have to confirm, then you are going to go for $Python 3 version. Okay, don't type Python version, but Python 3 version. Then you will be getting Python 3.7.0 as the version. Okay, so here you are going to go for opening the Python 3 interactive shell, and you are going to run in the Python commands directly from the command line. So you are going to go for the command line $Python 3. You are going to go with the Python 3.7.0 version. You are going to include default June 29, maybe 2018 or maybe 2021, 2013. So that's the time. Okay, you have the Clang version 9.1.0 on Darwin. Type, help, copyright, credits, and license of more information. I think even in the video you would have gone through this type, help, copyright, credits, or license version when you are going to install this Python 3 version on the Mac OS X platform. So in order to exit the Python 3 interactive shell, you can go for Control followed with D. Okay, so Control and D you have to press it simultaneously so as to exit this Python 3 interactive shell on the Mac OS X. So you can still run the Python shells with the Python 2. You can go for $Python and then Python 2.7.15 version. You're going to go for default the version that are associated with it. This is Apple Xcode format with the GCC 4.2.1 compatible version of Apple. You're going to get the Clang version on the Darwin and type help, copyright, credits, and license. So this is actually the Python shells that we would be running with the Python 2 with this command line. So with the case of installation of Python 3 on the Windows platform, normally it's not being installed default. Okay, but if you can actually check whether this particular version exists on your system or not. What you are going to do is you are going to open a command line. You are going to open a command line console. What you have to do is you have to enter the command on the start menu, or what you are going to do, you have to press the shift and then right click on your desktop. Then you can go for opening the command window and you can type $python version. So you can get the Python version 3.7.0. So you can actually confirm what type of Python 3 version you have it in your Windows platform. Right. So in order to confirm the actual version, you are going to download the installer and make sure to click on the add Python to the path. Okay, so it gets the Python gets added directly on the command line. So after Python is being installed, what you have to do is you have to run the following command. You have to check whether the exact correct version is being installed in the command line console. So $python version, you get Python 3.7.7. So if it is working, then it is fine with you. So you have like several prerequisites when you go for installation of Python 3 on the Linux platform. So in order to compile this Python, first of all you have to install the development tools and some extra libraries. You have to get access to the libraries. Only then you can ensure that Python 3 is being installed correctly on the Linux platform. Okay. So what you have to do is the extra libraries are not strictly needed to compile Python, but still without them the Python interpreter will be quite useless as well. So what you have to do is you have to start by making sure whether your particular system with the case of Linux platform is up to date. So you are going to type yum update. Okay, and you have to go with the compilers and related tools yum group install -y development tool. So you are going to first of all make sure your system is up to date, and then you are going to see whether your compilers and then the development tools are installed in your system. Okay, then you are going to go with the libraries. Okay, so you are going to go with the version yum install z library, the development tools zip2, develop open SSL, and then develop ncurses, and then develop read line, and then D level followed with the libpcap, and then D level with the expert D level as well. So you are going to get access with the different libraries that are required during the compilation process. And suppose that if you have installed a clean minimal install of the CentOS in the Linux platform, then you can type the command line yum install -y wget. Okay, so you are going to get all the the minimal installation version of the CentOS, or maybe the development tools, or maybe the compiler version that are associated with it. So you can make sure that everything is up to date in your system. So for the download, or maybe compile, or maybe install the Python, what you have to do is you have to include the shell command Python 2.7.14. You are going to go for the wget command, where you can include the version. Like you are going to get access to the website http://python.org. Here you get access to the version 2.7.14. You have tar.exe. Okay, like the tar function, and then the cd Python version, you are going to get access to it. And then in the Python 3.6.3 you are going to get this Python version 3.6.3 tar.exe. Okay, so here once again you are going to configure the USR, the local enable shared version of USR, and then local library function. So you have to make sure that you are going to compile, or maybe download, compile, and then install Python version correctly with 2.7.14 or maybe 3.6.3, and then make the installation version correctly. So with the case of installing the Python version correctly after installing 2.7 or maybe 3.6. You can also go for stripping the symbols from the shared library as well in order to reduce the memory size. Okay, so in the shell command you can go for strip usr local command libpython 2.7.so.1.0, and then you can go for stripping the 3.6 binary. After you strip the 2.7 binary, you can go for stripping the 3.6 binary, where you can install the version correctly. So these are some of the commands that you should go for in order to the download and compile and install the Python version correctly. And then after installing all these compiler commands, what you have to do is you have to upgrade the pip commands, the setup tools and wheels. For example, in the video you would have seen, like after you go for the command line, you go for the launcher tools with the setup tools, the pip version and the wheel commands as well. So for that, what you have to do is in the interpreter you have to install the pip setup tools and wheel as well. First you have to get the script. For example, wget bootstrap.pypa.io. You have to get the pip.py, and after that you have to go with the 2.7 version with get pip.py, and after that you go for 3.6 version with get pip.py, and after it gets installed you go for installation of package name or maybe upgrading the package name, and you can actually check for uninstall version as well to make sure that you are installing and upgrading and then uninstall the version correctly. Okay, so after doing all this, you have to go with creating a new Python environment. For example, if you are using a version Python 2.7, then you can include this install this file virtual env. Okay, so it's creating a virtual isolated environment. Okay, for example, if you use 3.3, 3.4, 3.5 or maybe 3.9, then you need not have to include this virtual env version, because it is already inbuilt as a functionality in the Python version. Okay, so every isolated Python environment, for example, if you can include the sandbox function, it will have its own Python version and the packages. So like if you are going with a single project or maybe multiple projects or maybe different versions of the same project, you can actually include this isolated Python environment with the case of virtual env command. So this is actually the sandbox version of your virtual environment file. Okay, so you are going to go for with the pip 2.7 install virtual env. Suppose virtual env is not installed, and then you are going to get access with the my27 project. Okay, so once again you are going to go with venv my36 project. Okay, and then it will show the version, Python version. Okay, Python version. So in the my27 project you are going to go with the access with the bin and then activate. Okay, so in the Python version you are going to get out of it and then you can deactivate. Okay, so the same way you are going to repeat with my36 project. With the case of bin you are going to activate, with the case of Python version, and then you are going to deactivate. So this is how you are going to create a first isolated Python environment where you get access to all the files, the libraries that are associated with it. You create a sandbox and then you are going to activate the Python version and then you are going to deactivate your version. So with the case of virtual environments, actually this is not much needed, but still without this the Python becomes meaningless. Okay, so you have to create a virtual environment in the Python programming, maybe a default software like Python or maybe Django in the same directory. You might have a question like for example, if you are using like project A, and in the project A you are using a Django version like 2.1, but project B is still in the earlier version like Django 1.10, will it create a problem? For example, if you use project A and project B, project A uses Django 2.1 and project B uses earlier version 1.10. Okay, so in this case with a virtual environment it's very difficult. Okay, if you are having the virtual environment there is no issue at all. Okay, right? So Python development is not one, but you should use a dedicated virtual environment, virtual VENV, okay, for each Python project. So it becomes real and interactive as well. So Python developers have used Python env or maybe PYENV to configure the virtual environments. Back in 2017, like Python developer like Kenneth Reeds, he released the PyENV function, which is officially recommended Python packaging tool, and it is actually similar to the yarn as well as the npm command of the Node ecosystem. So he actually developed a pip file which would have a pip file.log for ensuring the deterministic builds, and then there was another function called determinism, where you have to download the software in a new virtual environment, and with the same configuration you can actually go with the JavaScript packaging as well, which would have a blog post even for explaining how to install these files, how to go with the the pip file and the npm and yarn version as well.